Very good evening and many thanks indeed for joining us on RwandaTV News. These are the top stories for viewers in Rwanda and across the world. The Rwandan government has expressed hope that the issue of rising commodity prices could be resolved next year. On Wednesday, the Rwandan government officially launched the second phase of the Economic Recovery Fund, which was set up to address the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the private sector and various sectors of the economy and trade. Also tonight, we take you to Djibouti. Rwandans living in this country say the country has a lot of investment opportunities, including exporting agricultural products there, the use of the technology, education and health. Many thanks indeed for joining us for tonight's news broadcast. We trust you're doing well. I'm Ethan Tashobia. You're watching RTV News live from Kigali. Now, I have quite a lot of news tonight for you, and you have to stick around. On this Wednesday, like I told you, the Rwandan government officially launched the second phase of the Economic Recovery Fund, which was set up to address the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the private sector in various sectors of the country's economy and trade. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Ndagijimana, says that $100 billion fund launched in 2020 has helped the private sector, especially those who have outstanding loans to pay in commercial banks, to be able to repay their loans. We have this report. More than 100 billion Rwandan francs invested in the Economic Recovery Fund at the time of its inception. 75 billion Rwandan francs have been disbursed to the members of the private sector who owed money to commercial banks, including 151 hotels, 69 educational institutions, which received about 12.6 billion Rwandan francs, and 7.7 billion Rwandan francs invested in 55 private transport companies. The Minister of Finance, Ndagijimana, said more funding has been provided to support various businesses, including small businesses that would receive assistance through SACCOs.
Iki cyiciro cyakoresheje miliyari 6
This group alone used about 6.7 billion Rwandan francs, while 6,715 small and medium businesses benefited under this arrangement through SACCOs. During the event to launch the second phase of the Economic Recovery Fund, Prime Minister Edward Ngirente said that more funds have been invested in the initiative and new projects will be considered going forward, as opposed to the first phase to help meet the existing trade needs. The government of Rwanda added extra 250 billion Rwandan francs in the Economic Recovery Fund to continue helping businesses and investments to recover from the economic shocks caused by COVID-19 pandemic. The uniqueness of this second phase is that it will focus on new investment projects, especially those who want to invest in new ventures that will support Rwanda's economic recovery efforts. The Minister of Finance outlined that of the 250 billion Rwandan francs added to the fund in its second phase, which was officially launched on Wednesday, includes 150 billion Rwandan francs for new investment, while small businesses will also receive a share of the new fund.
BDF isanzwe itanga ingwate ku
BDF, which provides collateral to small and medium enterprises, have been given 30 billion Rwandan francs in this new phase to continue providing small loans to startups. This will increase collateral coverage from 50% to 75%, especially with focus on projects run by the youth, women, and disabled people. In this second phase of the Economic Recovery Fund, the government of Rwanda will also provide more resources to BDF, while the Minister of Finance states that companies which also owe banks have been allocated 35 billion Rwandan francs in order to prevent them from getting into trouble with those banks for non-payment. All right, now, security experts believe that African nations should prioritize cooperation to address issues that threaten the peace of its people. Innocent Mugabo has this report.
Terrorism, climate change, and cyber attacks are some of the issues that threaten the security of the African continent. The fact that these issues are shared by African countries Senior army officers from these countries met in a symposium organized by the Rwanda Defense Force Command and Staff College to sharpen their skills, and these agree with the fact that cooperation is needed in dealing with these issues.
My expectation is that after getting experience from different security practitioners, especially the security experts, my expectation is that I will get enough from them, and this will help me in my future career to cope up with the security challenges that are affecting Rwanda and Africa and the world in general.
So the world, particularly the African continent, share knowledge and experiences, because currently the enemy we are facing is the contemporary security challenges, which include climate change, like the diseases too. That is how we are going to address it as security organs of the nation.
Of democracy in Africa.
At the National Security Symposium held at Intare Arena in Kigali, the administration of the Nyakinama Military Academy shared its views on research on a variety of topics, including democracy, environmental protection, and more in line with the protection of civilians, not just in times of war. Soldiers are not only meant to protect civilians against firepower, because these are not the only things that threaten their lives. So we research about them and protect them from affecting our people. Our duty is to protect the people and the sovereignty of the country. Through strengthening research on issues threatening the security of the African continent, the Minister of Defense, Major General Albert Morasira, believes that there is a need for cooperation among continental security agencies.
The continent is facing complex challenges ranging from surge of violent extremism, climate change, food security, cyber security, economic uncertainty, among others. These threats create uncertainty to the functioning of and survival of our nations, about the fragility of our times and the inherent risks of high levels of interdependence. The need to promote interstate, interagency collaboration and cooperation has become more urgent and important to respond to emerging threats. The contribution of private sector and civil society is very critical on this endeavor.
The General Secretary of the International Organization of the Francophonie, Louis Moshichiwabo, who spoke at the meeting, noted that the role of security forces in promoting democracy on the continent is indisputable, but also called on those in the force to focus on issues beyond just bullets.
La démocratie, c'est beaucoup de choses à la fois. C'est les systèmes politiques mis en place.
Democracy involves many things. It is a different form of a political establishment providing solutions to the problems of citizens. Democracy is to feel secure wherever you are at a national level. It also means economic self-sufficiency and the absence of air pollution.
Quand il est mesuré à notre taille.
Rwanda Defense Force Command and Staff College currently has 48 senior officers from 12 African countries, including Rwanda, and these will be pursuing advanced training in their 10th grade. Innocent Mugabo, RTV News.
Now, in our headlines, we told you that we'll take you to Djibouti. Rwandans living in this country say they have a lot of investment opportunities, including exporting agricultural products there, the use of technology, education, and health. In addition to that, Djibouti's industrial sector says it has removed tax barriers to increase the level of investment in the country. Jana Mutoni has this report.
Professor Francois Kabari has been living in Djibouti for the past 35 years and has been a citizen for 17 years and also teaches at the National University of Djibouti. He says that given the nature of the country from the Horn of Africa, there are opportunities for Rwandans to invest.
Amasezerano yo koroherezanya uziko abanyarwanda baza hano nta visa.
It's due to agreements that are facilitating. Do you know that Rwandans are not required visas to come here? The law is established, and likewise of citizens of Djibouti in Rwanda. So this should also extend to businesses, so that Rwandans can come and visit Djibouti, see what's taking place, and the opportunities available. And Djibouti citizens can visit Rwanda, see what's taking place there, and the opportunities available, hence laying ground for trade or exchange.
Bakajya mu Rwanda bakareba ibihakorwa bakareba ibikenewe noneho tugatangira kugira échange.
There are more than 60 Rwandans in Djibouti working in various jobs. Theoban Shimimana, the president of the Diaspora Association of Rwandans living in Djibouti, and Nishimwe Yvonne Gilbert, who works at Exim Bank in the country, says the good relations between Rwanda and Djibouti contribute to the growth in the number of Rwandans in that country, adding that the currency of this country is of great value, as currently $1 is equivalent to 177 Djiboutian francs.
Dukeneye abantu bakora mu gitandukanye. cyane nko mu by'ubwubatsi.
We need people working in different sectors, especially in infrastructure, technology, because the service delivery here is still low compared to our country. There is need for online businesses and in other technological income-generating activities, and in education as well. There is still more to be improved, and in businesses such as logistics.
Mu bucuruzi nabwo burahari bikorwa cyane nko bya logistique.
So it's a very good place where people who want to export goods from Rwanda or to import goods to Rwanda can use this port to do importation or exportation. That is one. Secondly, for vegetables, for food items, it's also another good opportunity because, as you know, Djibouti is a desert country, so the agriculture here is not developed. So it will be good if our Rwandans can export agriculture items to Djibouti and take that opportunity.
The International Djibouti Industrial Parks operations, which opened in 2018, is expected to help people that wish to work in this country. Mahmoud Hussein, the Deputy Director of the International Djibouti Industrial Parks operations, emphasizes that a system has been put in place to facilitate investors so that their operations can be productive.
Il y a beaucoup d'avantages fiscaux qui...
I would like to point out that there are many benefits, especially to the taxpayers in this sector. Like goods from the port are tax-free. There is no tax on value added. The investors working in this sector have the right to use their land as they wish. In short, there is an interest on with respect to taxes except for the salaries of domestic workers who are tax deductible.
Des avantages. Seuls les employés locaux.
International Djibouti Industrial Parks operation is not far from the port of Djibouti, which also has a large share of the country's economy and other countries in other continents that use it. The Djibouti Ports and Free Zones chairman, Abubakar Omar Hadi, explains that the Sino-African Sea Air program will be especially in African countries to receive goods, even landlocked countries, including Rwanda.
Our plan is to deliver directly the containers, the cargo, the oil, export and import from, and we need to export more and import less to the continent. So to link the maritime facet of the continent to the heart of the continent, in our region I think we have easily 1/3 of the population of the continent. DRC Congo, they have only 40 kilometers of sea coast on the Atlantic Ocean. The majority of the country is supporting through the Indian Ocean. Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and all these countries and Ethiopia together, I think we are over 500 million population to serve. But now we have started only the sea air, and we are very happy to do that.
Figures show that in 2019, 18,000 cargo ships have passed through the port of Djibouti heading to Europe port of Sweden that link Europe and Africa, indicating that the port has significant benefits for various countries as it is located on the Red Sea from the Horn of Africa and considered the gateway to all parts of the globe. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
Now, the European Union on Wednesday launched a new 2-year cooperation plan with Rwanda that will contribute 260 million euros by 2024. We have this report.
The European Union on Wednesday launched a new 2-year cooperation plan with Rwanda that will contribute 260 million euros by the year 2024. The 260 million euros over 260 billion Rwanda francs that is said to be invested in youth education and employment projects, especially in the areas of technology, management and investment. The Director General for International Partnerships, Miriam Ferran, says that the new partnership will be based on an agreement that will be prioritized by all parties involved.
And the importance of this new strategy that you will see embedded in the way we are going to implement this new multi-annual investment framework lies in the fact that we want to increase our impact by working from the European Union side together with our member states in a Team Europe approach. So we will see when we will be implementing the projects embedded in the multi-annual indicative program that many of those will be implemented and complemented by additional resources from our member states, be they in the form of grant or loans and guarantees. So new financing instruments, which objective is to multiply the impact and the volume of support and increase, therefore, the grasp of the priorities that can be embedded.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning emphasized on joint projects between EU and African countries which aim at supporting the cross-border business in the context of the African continental market.
The new EU bilateral cooperation intervention worth 260 million euro for the period 2021-2024 we mainly focus on the following areas of our development. 1, education, skills and jobs for the youth in the digital era. 2, a Green Deal for inclusive development. 3, political and economic governance. These are priority areas of our mutual bilateral cooperation, which also are part of our national strategy for transformation.
The European Union had in this year 2022 projected its support worth 85 million euros in the fields of education and TVET, reforms in the judiciary, housing and reconciliation. Isabel Masozera, RTV News.
Thank you, Isabel, for that report. Now, energy and climate are two sides of the same coin. One man recently put it. This week, prominent global leaders from government, businesses, development institutions, civil society are meeting in Kigali for the Sustainable Energy for All Summit, a meeting billed as a moment for enabling commitments and partnerships for energy, climate, and development progress. Now, this forum, which was officially opened by President Paul Kagame on Tuesday, also seeks to spur investments in universal energy access, efficiency and transition, and to inform and inspire participants into action. Now, earlier today, I spoke to Christina Skierka, who is the CEO of Power for All, a global campaign to accelerate end of energy poverty, to unpack the significance of this landmark international gathering on sustainable energy being held in Africa for the very first time. Take a look.
So the conversations this week at Sustainable Energy for All are, first of all, fantastic to be having on the continent. But second of all, there's, I think, probably three main themes I see. One is quite focused on energy transition. Another is really on energy access. And then I think a third has to do with human capacity. All three of those components are incredibly important to making sure that, especially in the case of Rwanda, we can move from the about 50% levels of access to 100%. Very ambitious goals in this country. So it's great to be having these conversations here.
And what is being done, especially on your part, as Power for All? What is there that you're actually doing to make sure that there's actually power for all and renewable power, sustainable power in that sense?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. So Power for All is a global campaign, and what that means is that we work together with a network of over 300 partners. We're all unified in the call for ending energy poverty as quickly as possible. When you actually look at this situation, which is where is the energy poverty concentrated, it tends to be in rural or peri-urban areas. Those areas are really custom built for a solution that's known as decentralized renewables. So that's rooftop systems, mini grids, microhydro, ton of microhydro here in Rwanda. So really our focus here is to elevate the messaging, help drive awareness, help activate markets, and also act as advocates to make sure that governments can actually follow the really amazing lead of the country of Rwanda and do carve-outs that help send clear market signals and help drive market growth.
What, in your own understanding on what you've seen, especially in Africa, what do you think Africa needs to make sure that there is powerful oil in that kind of sense? I'm borrowing the phrase from the campaign itself.
Perfect, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I would say is, first of all, I am not in a position to tell the continent of Africa what it needs to do, but the way Power for All is structured is we work with local change makers. So we actually work with people in the countries themselves who are activists, energy experts, researchers, and we work together to find the solutions that are really bespoke for each country. I think there's a couple of clear directions that we seem to see across all the countries, whether it's East or West Africa. And one of those is absolutely the importance of policy and targets. Having targets not only for energy access, but targets for the amount of energy access to come from decentralized renewables is really important. The other thing I do see a lot about is the importance of human capacity and getting more people interested in engaging and being part of this sector, whether that's as an entrepreneur, somebody who's a sales agent, or even, my favorite, a woman starting up her own company to help drive energy access.
Very lastly, yesterday during the opening ceremony, you will use that as well. The president talked about climate financing, which also touches into what you actually do. And I want to know, in your own opinion, what do you think should be the role of the developed countries in financing climate adaptation in Africa?
Okay, well, being from a developed country, I can tell you, I think we owe a lot to the continent. I think it was a big disappointment what happened at COP in terms of not really seeing those promises and commitments turn into dollars in the bank. But that said, with COP coming this year, COP27 going to be in Sharm el-Sheikh, actually on the continent itself, hopefully we'll see some changes there. But in the meantime, I think one of the great innovations for this sector has been pay-as-you-go technology. It's actually been responsible for, I think, something like 50 or 60% of the sales of rooftop and mini grid systems here in the country. And what that enables is to let people basically pay as you go, exactly like you do with a phone. So that's been, I think, a great innovation. So there's a large story about moving financial flows, but also the very micro topic about how we're actually getting people to adopt technology.
Christina Sialka, the CEO of Power for All, I think we have to end it here because we don't have much time. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Unless you have any parting shot.
My parting shot is, I mean, first of all, it's great to have partners in the media who care about this issue because you live in energy impoverished countries. But the more we can do to follow the lead of countries like Rwanda, I think the better we'll be. It's definitely an easier way, country where it's easier to do business, and that really means a lot to these companies. So more of the same, and let's follow the lead of Rwanda.
Christina Sialka, the CEO of Power for All, thank you so much for finding time to speak to us on RwandaTV. And that very report brings us to the end of tonight's edition. And on behalf of the entire news production team, we really appreciate your company tonight. Until next time, I'm RwandaTV. Bye for now.